Welcome to the third edition from our premier Grab a Coffee live recording, taking place at Ndiro, who have been so kind to allow us set up within the precinct and grab a coffee. My name is Simon Kasiate. Happy to be with you, and what an incredibly insightful conversation we've had in the last two episodes, informing us on different aspects, but all of them driving into one space, the space where you and I feel fulfilled and ready to take on the mantle of life to build ourselves into that kind of citizen we have always wanted to be. Raymond, how do you feel?
I feel very excited. Of all the guests, I don't know if I should say this, but of all the guests, I was looking forward to this guest the most. The one that's coming next.
I can see you already even grooving and gyrating to imaginary music, but believe me, you.
No, but it's been really intense, and I think we spoke about this yesterday, that to be able to get through three different conversations of three different highly accomplished people was going to take a huge toll on us, and we needed to be very alert. And I'm happy that we've done a good job so far.
Well, I like it when you're being your own judge in your own set, but and this not pour cold water on the performance that we're expecting next. And I use the word performance deliberately, not to mean that Azawi, who is our next guest, is coming in for a performance, but you'll agree with me that she's got a properly well-structured head, properly screwed on her shoulders, coming in to represent the creative industry, not for just the entertainment value, but for the transformative value that industry seems to portend on all of us, more or less the young people. What contributions is it making in the economic prosperity of young people, but also how is it driving social justice, change, and everything within the space of governance?
All right, and of course, this episode is proudly sponsored by MultiChoice and their Showmax episode Show Now, which you can get for 11,400 using your Momo, and you'll have access to all their entertainment, including the FIFA World Cup.
Or simply catching up with some Kampala cream, Showmax is where all your favorite entertainment is.
So I'm really happy to introduce this guest, and I want to start with a short story of why I'm introducing this guest. About 6 years ago, I go to attend Roast and Rhyme, and the MC says, introducing Uganda's next big artist. And this artist comes on stage. She did exactly 4 minutes, 2 seconds.
Wow.
4 minutes, 2 seconds. And I told Benon that very day, this is going to be your best export out of Uganda.
And without a doubt, that prophecy has come to pass.
Of course.
Wow. I think that deserves a huge hand clap, that in 4 minutes...
2 seconds.
2 seconds, you can make an indelible impression on Raymond to refer to you as the next big...
Not just Raymond alone. That Roast and Rhyme episode has 1 million views. Wow. All the other artists who performed that day are below 30,000. That should tell you something.
Well, I also know a bit about you, that you're not the kind of person that appreciates good things when you see them. But if someone can impress you, they must be exceptionally good. And Azawi, wow, what a glowing tribute this man has had of you. And we're glad that you would certainly, without a fear of contradiction or a delay in saying yes, you agreed to be with us on a day where you are most busy, the weekend. Join us, Azawi. Let's put our hands together for her. Aha. I love your shoes. I'm just too old to carry them, perhaps.
No. You're nowhere near the edge that wears these shoes, sir. Stay in your lane.
Yes, guys, I'm really so happy to be here. Yes, I think we've been trying to do this for some time, right?
Yes, I've actually been trying to interview Azawi. I didn't say this. I've been trying to interview Azawi for 4 years, and me and the management and other things in between have not been easy.
Yeah, but finally I'm here. I'm very looking forward. I'm looking forward to what we're going to share, the conversation we're going to have. I'm also from the space that I come from, the creative sector. So yes, I think we should get into it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Priscilla Zawede, also known as Azawi. I
love that. Yeah. If it were Wednesday quiz night anywhere in the places I love to be at, and the quizmaster asked, what is Azawi's real name? It would be like if I ask any one of you can tell me out quickly without referring to Google what Snoop Doggy Dogg's real name is.
Yeah, so we should.
But so Azawi, I wanted maybe just to start up close the personal question. I know you don't wake up in the morning, and we really forced you to get out of your bed early.
I am not a morning person. Okay, I've tried like so much to work on it, but because of the job I do, you end up swinging back because now you're gonna get a job that requires you to perform at 2 a.m. in the morning, and then by the time you get home, it's almost in the morning. So, but then I had to do this. I had to do this for for the support I have for you guys because you guys are my friends.
Tremendous.
And
Azawi, now we'll start from where you came in from. You found us having a deep dive conversation with no less a man that is in charge of the country's finances.
Yeah.
And he seems not to know you just up close as a person that gives him good vibes, but he also has seen the works your industry is putting in to ensure that you are a recognized force and that you are huge contributors to the socio-economic development of this country. Let's start from there. Just tell us in no uncertain terms and coming in from you. Tell us the weight of influence or power that the creative or arts industry could have on the development of a country.
I think it is such. Actually, I was at the U.S. mission, I think, like a few days ago, and we were having the same conversation. When you look at the data that is, out there, you're going to realize that over 386,000 Ugandans are employed by the creative industry.
Wow.
And the majority of these are youth. Of course, Uganda is known to have one of the youngest population. I think about 77% of our population is below the age of 25. Can you imagine?
Wow.
So you are looking at this a sector that has not even attained equitable budget allocation, but it is able to contribute almost, is it like 3% to the general domestic product, which is about like 1.6 billion US dollars. So I feel like because of that data, those are valid grounds, to invest in such potential economic sector. So I feel like we play a very big part because even coming into this industry, you do not need a lot of expertise. You don't need to be so highly educated. It doesn't matter about the age. So for as long as you can think of an idea and put it into full actualization and create economic value, then you're good enough to be part of the industry. Even if you're a doctor, you can wake up one morning and create something. We've seen so many doctors who are influencers right now. We've seen so many accountants who are doing skits, who are into film, stuff like that. So it is an easy industry to enter. So why don't you, as policymakers, look at it as a strong, economic powerhouse? It is quite unfortunate. Mr. Gobi has been here saying we are now investing into the creative sector, but for me, I'm a person who makes my research. When I went and I looked at, is it the medium-term expenditure framework? This is a framework that works for, I think, approximately 3 years.
Yeah.
You see that the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development received at about 39 billion US dollars. But of that budget, the creative sector only received, I think, 2.4 million US dollars. And the majority of that money went into managing, culture institutions like kingdoms. So little or almost nothing came into the creative industry. So I've liked the fact that artists have realized that, we are worth something. So we should advocate for policy, work with policymakers to make sure that we are also not treated as an afterthought. We have to be treated like a strong economic element to this country. But for me, the problem I have, And it's not like I'm against. I know some people have been like, "Oh, Azawi, you guys are against the Artists Federation and stuff like that." But for me, zamanyi nematira nnyo.
It shows.
Nematira nnyo. So I hate it when I see my fellow artists reduced to pleading for funding. For me, I would have appreciated it more if it was not about saving the industry, the music industry, because we don't need saving. We are talking about an industry that has been able to acquire economic value without direct intervention by the government. So now, for me, I would have appreciated it more if it was more about recognizing the fact that without the music industry, then we are almost lifeless. You know, we are talking about something that unites us. You know, even if we are talking about Honorable here, I believe there's music he listens to. It might not be my music or GNL's music, but there's music that he listens to. So for me, I would have appreciated it more if working with policymakers was about recognizing the fact that the music industry is important, but not about saving it. Yeah. Because we don't need your saving. Me, as a person, I have become who I am. The senior city government name generated.
That's so.
Bandongo yange, and the fans are the ones who sustain me because of what I'm able to produce. So that is where I found the problem. And the fact that, okay, now, why are they choosing to support at a time where one of us has become a kayinja mungato for them? Why? Like for me, it felt, I know sometimes it may not look as that, but there's certain moves you make as a leader and you have to question yourself, are they good for optics? Because you can't tell me, and I know he's not going to like it, which is okay. You can't tell me that, yes, we are going to work with the policymakers. But then at that time, you have your own beliefs. You have your own values. There's a way you carry yourself. But the moment you start working with the policymakers, then you go against everything that you stood for. What picture does that give for optics? It's more like now the government or the policymakers are working with you because of the loyalty. You owe it to them. And when you see such things happen, you start questioning now, is this person receiving, or is this organization receiving funding because of merit, because of the excellence in the creative field, or it is because of the political allegiance they pay.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you, you've spoken so much about the economic power of artists, but I also want you to speak to the social power of artists and taking the brand Uganda. I remember sending you a video from Prague. I was going about my day in Prague and someone was playing Slow Dancing, which was your song. And I was like, in Prague, Czech Republic, why would someone be listening to Azawi's music? But it's just the cultural power that the music has. When you go into negotiation rooms, do you put that cultural power together with economic power, saying, yes, we can bring this much in terms of GDP, but yes, we bring this much in terms of cultural power to the country?
Yeah, of course. We have seen countries gain popularity and attention just because of the music that comes from there. I can give an example. When I play an Amapiano song here, everybody's going to know how, which country is connected to that kind of genre. That is South Africa. When I play Afrobeats, you're going to see countries like Nigeria, Ghana, names coming out of there. So, of course, music or creativity plays a big part in the image of the country. So, this is why it is important to invest in such a sector, because now we have the power, because of the innovation we bring to the table. We have the power to attract other people from other, destinations to come over here and see. Now, I want to understand. So, music plays a very big part in how a country is perceived out there, and it plays. I think this also goes along with the tourism industry, because now if we don't have this music, if we don't have people that are I have a song that is going to come out on my next album, Lost Files. I'm singing about, okay, it's quite a dramatic song. It's more like,
all your songs are dramatic as well.
yeah, it's more like, because I know, I don't know if you guys knew this, but when a song sells out in Uganda, it is most likely to sell out in the rest of Africa.
Wow.
So that is why you're going to see a lot of artists from across Africa coming here to do their sampling here. Why? We first of all appreciate good music, and we have a good taste in music. Wow. So we are like the capital of entertainment of Africa. That is why you see people coming here and they're like, have you partied in Uganda? If you've not partied in Uganda,
you haven't
partied anywhere, because fetukuba pate. So Nino Luyimba, there's a song that I have. It says, Echiri muguru, bwe chiri bwatuka, chiri tusanga gwa, Kampala, nga tulya, nga tunywa. Because I know that is our way of life. We like to party, we like to enjoy. And so many people outside the world don't have what we have here. I've been to Rwanda. Batugoba mu bbala ne mpulira bubi nnyo. Omusajja ajja n'atugamba ssaawa 6 ziweze. Ne batulumya ne manager wange n'ebyokunywa byaffe. Ne tugamba, like this can never happen back home. So what does that teach you? These are kind of opportunities that we need to capitalize on. Not everyone is going to be a doctor. Not everyone is going to be a farmer. Not everyone. Some of us, this is our calling. That is why sometimes I say that investing in the extraction of an idea from the brain to its full actualization is as viable as investing in extracting minerals from the ground.
Wow.
When you look here, if it wasn't for the mind, none of the stuff that is surrounding us would exist. Even you as a human. Tatao, ne mamao, basisinkana, ne bagamba omanyi, ekirowoozo ne kimujjira omukyalo no kanneebake naye, muzaalemu omwana. Okitegeera. So even your own creation as a human, simanyi oba Katonda yalina obwongo, but he must have had a brain. Everything starts from the brain. So why are we... Yes, the government is investing in the creative industry, but is it equitable budget allocation? That is the question.
I love how you put it, Azawi. And I'm just going to bring it closer to myself by using an example from my household. My daughters, Karen and Keisha, have promised me severally that, Dad, when we grow up and we're able to afford something for you, we'll take you to Spear Motors and buy you a Mercedes-Benz. But on one hand, I asked them, how do you intend to afford me a Mercedes-Benz? Because what do you want to be in future to afford me a Mercedes-Benz? And you know what they tell me? Both of them want to be like you. They want to be singers, they want to be actresses, and they are into that space, even as they go through the vagaries of studying about, the history of this country, commerce, and all those sort of things.
Should I tell the audience that yesterday your daughter sent us this play of Plato and Socrates in which she was reciting?
She was actually auditioning for the Kenyan Youth Theatre, where she has, for the second year running, been a star, performer in there. But they're listening to you now and want to know for a fact whether it's actually possible, realistically, to be able to afford their dad a Mercedes-Benz from doing what you do, as opposed to what Dad keeps telling them, no, study law, become engineers. That's the sure path to a good life, as opposed to the creative industry. Because many people in that space, they are highly talented, or at least they think so, but they don't think your space allows them the latitude to enjoy the good life meaningfully. And as I conclude, without the stigma, when you walk in here, you want to be given a standing ovation, like how a lawyer would feel when they walk into a space, or a doctor. Is it fast coming? Is it there? Do you feel it?
It has to start from somewhere. You can't just become rich because you are an artist. First of all, does the music you create have that value? Does it like attract that attention? You know, we have so many people who can sing, but their music doesn't have that thing that pulls you towards, you know, to listening to it. So now that is how you get stuck in that void of not growing. And also,
you just mentioned how my music career ended. That's why I stopped.
yeah.
I only sing in the bathroom.
If you ever had any.
Also, sometimes also timing plays a part. Kati, there's so many artists that would have come up and become big, but because they came in an era where there were so many good artists, so it was hard for them to penetrate.
Good.
So for you to actually gain from something that you've created, you have to be extremely good at it, that you are better than everyone that you're competing with to have that demand. But for as long as you do it in a way that everybody else can do it, then that is going to be a problem. Also, me, I've been very fortunate that I've had access to infrastructure that can put the product that I create with my brain out there. These are the record labels that we work with. They have created, like, in the long run, they have created like social networks with different partners and incorporations that can help me, you know, to put my work out there. For example, Swanks has a distribution company. My music is almost on every distribution platform. They have the funds. I had the music, I had the product. Now for them, they have the resources to put the product out there. But naye akutekamu sente product yo giteke I know kubanga agibelievingiramu. Tojja kuba ndongo ya kisiru olowooze nti omuntu agenda kuteekamu sente. Tojja kola product yo nga ya kisiru olowooze nti you're gonna like make it be so good. I don't know how. Be so good. And how do you get so good? By, you know, doing it repetitively. The way I write right now is not the way I wrote when I was in secondary school. Like, I have grown. I have been listening and watching so many different writers and artists, and I've picked a leaf and I've bettered myself. Obviously, some people are not that aggressive, or you have to put yourself out there to learn and not to be very rigid. Sometimes, actually, people may not even like your music because it's so good, but because of your attitude. Let me just listen to the music. Sometimes, for me, this is why I like Cardi B. She has a very good attitude. Like, I just love her for that. Some people, it's because of I'm going to explain to you why having a good voice does not guarantee success.
Oh.
As time has gone by, music has got to a point where it's about expression of the emotion. How do you express that emotion? Omuntu atalina ddoboozi asobola okweexpressinga emotion naye n'okibulira amasanyalaze gawulira. So now for you now this is
Clearly, I have outaged these people.
mwe mukiita vibe, but because he can express that emotion of that, you know, that moment, that it ceases to be about the voice. You will see so many people ngaine doboze dungi no more oluyimba rapati, and they fail to express that emotion in that song. And you're like, I have a very good voice. Why is it not working? Because you are not, for you, your focus is on singing with a good voice, but not delivering the emotion that is required to make that song big.
So I wanted to ask you, and this is maybe the creative competition.
Yeah.
You are in an industry where the music, and sorry to your other colleagues, the music we've been receiving time and time again, the beat is synonymous, the lyrics are almost always the same.
Yeah.
How do you balance that competition for the domestic market with the creative expression to say, on Lost Files, I will do something exceptionally different. This will be new sound, new music. It will be R&B that people are not listening to now. How do you balance that? What mood do you get into to balance that kind of creative expression? And is it because of the infrastructure that you're able to do things that ordinarily artists would say, I would aspire to do that, but it's not money making?
First, I'm going to talk about why some of you feel like the recent trends don't feel, like, the perfect music that we should be releasing. People have to understand that even the music industry evolves. And sometimes evolving can be good to you, or can be nice, can be bad. Yes, we are in a period where our music is evolving, and the fact that the music that is coming out does not resonate to you is okay. You don't like it, but it doesn't mean that other people don't like it. You understand? So for me, I like to risk, and I think I've been able to learn these things because of the people that I work with. Like, they always make you see a different picture of yourself as a brand and the time you've been in the industry. So now it is I'm at a stage in my career where it is very okay to risk strategically, even in the way I create, make music that I haven't made before, or try different genres that I haven't done before. And sometimes you may not get the reception that you want, but it's okay, because now you're also in the process of discovering new things until when that time comes where you start making amazing music that almost resonates with the majority, but it shouldn't stop you. Like, you shouldn't put yourself on pressure. Me, when we were actually making the song Zenkulina, I'm a very spontaneous person. I can just call you, and I'm like, oh, Steve, come in studio. I want to create something like this. And when we were done with that idea, and we sat down with my team, and we were like, okay, why should we put this song out there? We were asking ourselves this question, and we were like, you know what? Because this is something that you haven't done. I know many people may not understand it, but for me, I have the luxury to do that. Now, when you are an artist that is starting,
upcoming,
you have this hunger, and you're very naive to so many things. You will not care. Like, space ojiberamu nga tofana you first of all, you don't even understand who your fans are, so you're just going to be creating. So the reason as to why when you get to the top the music changes is because now you've already experienced the hype from the fans. Now your brain is situated to think about how are the fans going to receive this, how are they going to respond to this. But when you're starting artists, because you don't care, your mind is free to different ideas, you're going to find yourself creating a body. You are not going to overthink. Now, stages of that is when you start overthinking things. Sometimes it's even a very good idea, but because you overthink it and you feel like it's not brilliant.
Yeah.
So, but omuyimbi atandika, they will not be bothered by that. Ajja kujja agambe, you know me, city at danger, nebonkwata, nebonsenga, you know me, kati ekyo kiweka million ya kiyimbe. Ajja gamba
you will have to make a strategic decision.
But she talked about making Nzekulina, and every time I play that song, I have to make sure the surroundings do not have children around. So I don't know how the creative process was.
I tried Benon is a very good director. Every time we do like a visualizer together or a video together, he directs me and makes me do things I never thought that I would do. My mother landed on that video and she was like, so bw'omukwatako bw'oti bw'aba mukyala we abeera waawo n'akulaba kati gwe omuntu gw'olaba oba gw'omeetinga awulira atya ng'okutte ku musajja bw'oti. And I'm like, ma'am, this is the job. Like, this is all acting. It's not real. Yeah.
Azawi, I'll turn to that and maybe also harp on to what you've just talked about. The impression you give to especially your folks, your parents, your aunties and all that, when you veer away following your passion from what should otherwise have been a straitjacket life of you are in school, they expect you to get a proper course, then after graduating get a proper job, and then you end up in music, which to many old people your parents' age and older don't consider proper. Will you pack that and you will explain to us how you had to deal with that? Because there are many people having to deal with that. But The elephant in the room for me now, and happening from what the Honorable did start with in his conversations in the first episode, fame and habit. These seem to follow each other most naturally. And we've seen it not just on the local creative scene, but even internationally, where you have the incredible talent, you hit fame standards, and then habit creeps in that eventually cripples you, kills your fame, kills you as a person, and kills your talent. How do you navigate that very intricate path of self-destruction as Azawi, so that you don't end up as one of those stories we'll be grabbing a coffee over in 20, 30 years, God forbid, and saying, here was a great artist?
What I can say about that, of course, I cannot behave the same way as I did when I was still starting up. That wouldn't make sense. It's just that sometimes you need to understand when you are crossing the line.
Wow.
And also the people that surround you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes an artist gajja and that character, that ego, because the people that surround you don't tell you the truth, that at this point you spoke with the fans very poorly or unfairly, you were very rude. Me, I have people that don't fear me.
Okay.
They will tell you,
what about you? Do you fear them when they tell you that Oyocheza? Do you believe in what they are telling you?
Okay.
Azawi.
Now, I think this wasn't intentional, but when we were starting to work with Jayla, I told her that when I get to a point where you feel like I'm getting out of character, I'm starting to deviate from, the kind of person that I am, please don't hesitate to tell me. So she always, Jayla yisanga mchiga. Ajana at some point so, and when we met that deal, and she was like, I need to understand, will you listen to me? And I'm like, I will listen to you. So we made this plan at the start, because she was like, we have signed so many artists here at Swangs Avenue, but the moment they hit it, they start becoming unruly and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, for me, I'm going to be different. But people also need to understand that I cannot behave the same way that I did ngasina motoka. Techisoboka.
But Azawi, just to come on quickly, is it your character, as in the kind of person that listens to advice, that makes pacts that you respect? Is it about your inherent personal character, or is it about your upbringing? Maybe you talked about your mother putting you to question and say, I have seen a video of yours, and please explain to me. But your upbringing, what was it? Take us back to how you were raised. Perhaps that will make us understand you better as an artist now.
First of all, my father, the late Walusimi Samuel, did not like me doing music. He wanted me to be this educated, educated girl, and Nandimo those white collar jobs. But it has always been, my mother has always seen me, have passion for music. Even when Ngachali in nursery school, she would come to all my concerts, to all my events. Namfuwa sente, atena tutuke wakana aziz jako.
Economy.
So I feel like my father wasn't that supportive. He wanted me to be this elite, educated girl. And of course, I went to school. I made sure I went to school, Nensoma, and I graduated at Makerere, Bachelor's of Commerce, such a very hectic course. But music has always been my calling. And the fact that my mother was very supportive, I feel like if she did not take me to Chika, because she's the one who enrolled me in Chika, maybe I wouldn't even have met the guy that inspired me to write music, because Namusanga guy yansomeso kuandika. And then I picked interest in it, and then I started writing my own music, and then that is how I connect with Swangs Avenue. So maybe my father, wherever he is right now, he's proud of what I have become. When Namku said, like my mother, so my mother was very, very supportive. I think if it wasn't for her, Nandibadde ndimo accounting nganzita.
But I wanted Azawi.
Before I allow Raymond to come in, who's going to take you way down here, I want to just ask my last question on the hard side of things.
Yeah.
A graduate of commerce, it means you know something about money and how to account for it and how to live in a frugal way. But your lifestyle as an artist, as a creative, and more so a celebrity may not give you the latitude to look at money and start thinking of things like savings and all that. And we've seen this happen, not because of anything else, but because you live every day as it comes. And that's what the impression seems to be. In as far as management of the wealth you are acquiring now from your creative engagements, what are you doing that should give us the comfort that in the future, because these things have an age limit. By the time you are my age, as are we 50 years and closing in, you may still be in the performing arts, yes, but want to see that there is something you have done substantially with your money. Either you are diversifying that income into other income generating streams and all that. How is the management on the side of Azawi? Because many times we say our Ugandan artists, they make the money, but they all blow it away.
For me, one thing that I had to understand is nze sagala kwonona sente gye nkoleredde nganze. But if I wake up one morning, fan nansindikirayo million 10 is I will blow it. I will blow that because that is disposable income.
Wow.
But money that I make from my shows, waking up, sleeping late nights, you know, that hustle, I make sure I invest it into something that is going to, you know what, sustain me in a longer run. Me, I chose only to blow money that I have not worked so hard for. And when you were that is why I told you, that is why Mr. Gobi, when he was here, and he told me that on the artist, you know, SACCO account, there's 2 billion right now. Now, I need to understand, where is the 3 billion? Where is the accountability? For me, I don't appreciate when somebody just tells us, show us that this money has done this and that. Where is the data that supports that? What are those?
What has the 3 billion done?
Yeah. What has it done? Are there like measures to monitor how this money is spent? To monitor if it is, you know, fulfilling its desired obligations. Like who's monitoring these things? Because nze kankulire kabayimbi tuli bantu bazibu nnyo
namwe mwemanye
nze kankubulire nze bwe mbeera yala n'okwasa n'ompa biliyoni 1 omanyi bye ngenda osooka okukola omuganda yakiyita kwekubako nfuufu ngenda sooka neetereeze nze nganze bwe manga nina emmotoka gye mbadde njagala omwana omukubira agireete bwe lubanga lugoye nna lwe mbadde njagala kati nammwe bakyali bange ngambe badde okaaba obwavu Raymond kasooke nkuweyo miliyoni 3 nkuweyo miliyoni 2-3 obaana naawe nenkuwaako kati mwabalala mbalaba leeta naye nga nze mmaze okwetereeza. You are giving people money abatazikwatangako in a bundle like this. So what guarantee? And I appreciate so far what the Federation has been doing, supporting ddala bano abayimbi abakola ki abavaako. Naye kati bw'oŋŋamba omwami nga Sebatta abadde yala okitegeera sente zaggwawo. I know sometimes sente zikuggwako, money can, you know, just disappear and you don't know where it went, even in your prime, and you're like, I had money at this point. So when you give such a legend 5 million, of course, because he has been broke, it is guaranteed ayina amabanja agakoze ki agamulinze awo agenda sooka agafixing, then nga kyenkugambye asooke yeekubeko enfuufu. Bw'aba badde alya bubi kolona ku family yagigulira emmere ki so kati agenda sooka kwetereza before kulowooza ku investing a sente ezo into something that is much better. And so now the question I ask is this money offering long-term solutions, or it is just offering temporary relief? Take it. Yeah.
Yes. The question I wanted to ask you and before we come to the audience is the idea of worry and creatives. You know, you're in the creative process, but you also have to worry about everything. You have to worry about how do I make the money? How do I distribute the money? Will the people come to my concert? Will my song sell out?
Yeah.
And I think we've spoken about this even when I met you in London just before you performed.
Yeah.
How much does worry cripple you as a creative, and how do you overcome it?
Yeah, because you're not certain. For me, I always say I am not in my prime. I'm just evolving. Like I mubongo wange nchina nti I will always be on top. Oba antia. Because I've seen people that have been able to do it. Then why not? So now I sit with my team and you're like, okay, what other ways can we incorporate to make sure that we diversify our revenue streams? You can't, okay, yes, they have brought in the copyright and now you're looking at its implementation. First of all, copyright has always been there. It has always been there. It's just that now the implementation has been the difficult part. So now, am I going to wait on the government to work on the implementation so that I start gaining from my online streams? No, there's so many avenues as an artist, as a creative, you can make money. Right now, I've been able to partner with different brands so that now 1%. You've seen me partner with Guinness. They are one of my biggest supporters. We influence for their product and then they pay me money in return. These are shows because money cannot just come from streams. No, sometimes you have to perform. More so right here in our country. Or ku stage, you have to perform. You've seen artists die on stage 9 shows per day. Another initiative would be creating content, because now it's not always going to be about singing. Create content and put it, for me, with my team, we made a plan that even if I'm just sitting here, put it on YouTube Shorts. It's gonna get you some money. Like even right now on TikTok, when you make a live and then the people that follow you send you gifts, you can monetize that. You can also outsource funding. It's not that necessarily funding again from government. Sometimes there's so many other programs there that are willing to offer financial support. Recently, I think that was 2022, I was fortunate to be part of the YouTube Black Voices. Can I tell you a little story of how I even got to be part of that
Why not?
program?
Let's grab
Now,
the coffee to it.
yeah. And this is happening because of the people that I work with. They're they're very much into research, what is happening, what opportunities out there. So now there's this guy called Ivan. He lands on an opportunity where YouTube was signing creatives in different spaces, like from fashion, music, painting, stuff like that. So, but the opportunities that were available were only for Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa. From East Africa, it was only Kenya. So ne tutulao ne tulimba nti tuli bana Kenya. So at some point I even wanted to get a Kenyan name. You get bagamba, the means what? The end just 5 minutes. Tukatulimbe. Kubanga, we saw there was an opportunity there. These guys were offering you funding of over $20,000. And now, if you had like a project that was moving, they were going to help you promote it on big and respected platforms like the New York Times Square. Nze waka wange tebamuteka ku side. Kano ka screen ko ku side. Yali wali eri
main screen.
Nali ku main stage. And before that, we had inquired to understand how much it takes to put your product on that space. This is where America celebrates its independence, guys. Nga mitwalo egi gye baagala to put you there for I think like 5 minutes, 30. Now YouTube is coming in offering me nagamba tulimbe. Neninya ennyonyi nengenda ne mu workshop ewa Kenya, and I was like, guys, I thank you so much for accepting me when I enrolled, but I have to tell you the truth, I'm not Kenyan. And Kenyans in that room looked at me like, this girl took over our what? Opportunity. And they're like, you guys need to just forgive me. I had to do this. Maybe next time you will find the opportunity. So now, this is how you widen your revenue streams. And when this money came in, Ninyambako pushing African music. Right now, everybody knows about that album. It was because of I think because if you're too honest, I think sometimes will you lie where it's required to lie.
Azawi, recently you have been known to hold the governance structure to account. Yeah. And largely because many politicians are liars, and you're now telling us to lie sometimes. So I want to know at what point it becomes nice to lie and at what point it should not be acceptable to lie. But as we go into that direction, Azawi, share with us, in your view, how much your industry can contribute to civic consciousness, like how it's been known the world over that musicians lead civil movements. We saw Bob Marley sing Zimbabwe, that song, and leading, in the black race movement. He was there. We see Fela Kuti in Nigeria. Of course, on the Ugandan side, we've seen musicians that have led not just political causes, but also social causes, like the late Philip Bongole Rutias, coming out and speaking and singing about a social problem of his time, like HIV and AIDS. It's a given that you do make that change. But let's look at the current context of the politics at play, the social issues at play. How much are you, and specifically as Awede, able to make a contribution to people who look up to the young people to raise their curiosity into participating in those spaces for their own good? Kubanga, from what you say, now olinga asobedwa. But how then do you lead the legion of fans who need your firepower and wind beneath your wings to soar high?
Honestly, it's very hard. It's very complicated. And it's even more complicated if you are operating in a space where there is no unity and solidarity. Like, our industry is not in solidarity with the public, because, and I think this happens because now money is involved. Money is something very, very dangerous. It can, you've seen how people have turned their beliefs and values just because money is involved. But you have to keep on the faith. You have to keep on the fight, because that is how you're going to inspire another person out there. Let me wait for things to just work on themselves. Me, I've been raised like this. Like, I always say the truth. And of course, if the people who are like our legislators and people in power, if they do something nice, of course I'll come out and appreciate it. Because so, but still, there's so much to do. And for me, the frustration that I have is that's solid. We are not together. Like, ekintu nyinza okuba nina engeri gye nkirabamu, but ng'ate oyo omuntu omulala ayina engeri gy'atakirabamu, because they are corrupted by the money that is behind. So it's I have to tell you, it is very hard. But of course, I know as artists, we have the influence to create, we have the power to influence an idea and, lead a campaign that, advocates for change, for a better space for not just a few Ugandans, but for everyone. And I'm going to play my part as an artist. I'm not going to wake up one morning and I'm like, no, for as long as I am an artist, I'm going to do whatever I can. So it's upon you, the person who's out there, to to understand that your voice is also important. So when you add on it on such issues that affect our people, there's something that you change. So Raymond, if as the entire artist music fraternity, if we had one voice and put pressure on our policy makers, you would see change. But because twasalawo netweyawula, so now the policy makers also rode on that wave. Tikati bano abasazeewo okubeera ku side yaffe katuba fixing okitegeera bo babeerenga now they speak good stuff about that. So it is I don't understand politics so much. Nze kyemmanyi bw'okera ku makya nenkusasula omusolo then mpa ensonga lwaki ngenze mu ddwaliro nesitasangayo ddagala kubanga nze nsasula omusolo wano wendi era URA at the end of the day ebeerawo wali, and these guys do their job, they collect the taxes, but where does it go? Like me, there has to be some correspondency, and you know what, that gap is too big, and for me these are the things that really trigger me, and I'm like, why is it happening? Because in Sendera Zibikola, there's so many there are countries out there who are taking care of their people. It's not like they're the best, but you can see that they're putting in effort. Of course, I am gonna feel triggered and bad when I go to the hospital, there is no medication, the doctors or the nurses are not paid. But then on a random day, you hear there is a supplementary budget for
a new fleet of cars for leaders.
For a new fleet. It just doesn't make sense. You've been like mulimu n'abantu ngabadde ngali mu parliament abaddemu for over 2 terms. Ne buli term ejja bamwongera ebibiri eby'emmotoka. And you're like, eri ebadde ki? Watch them more just sent as a repair.
Azawi, over the close to 30 years I've spent in the business of interviewing people, I've had the pleasure of interviewing folks like you who were astute artists in Uganda, making huge changes and making this exact argument and saying exactly what you are saying. Yeah. And over the years, they took matters in their own hands and said, you know what? Enough of saying I'm going to hold government accountable and push social change and political change through my music. I am putting the music career on the side and getting down and dirty into the politics. And the examples are many. Those present today will attest that I've had this conversation with them and seen the transition. I turn to Azawi. I don't want to wait to ask you this question when you have become an aspirant for a political seat. Is that something you're considering?
Tochikola.
I think if I wake up one morning and I am afraid of death, I'll enter politics.
That's very deep.
Tochikola muganda wange.
She wakes up one morning and she's not afraid of death.
Yeah.
She will join politics.
Yeah.
But for as long as she's still afraid of death, as she is now, she's not into politics.
Yeah.
Wow. What? I again, in my close 30 years of interviewing people, I have been so tricky in putting my questions across, and I have not received such an intricate answer as you've put.
The reason you are not running for Rujumbura is because you're afraid of death, Simon. Let us not push other people in that direction.
Let me go by natural things, but I wouldn't want to die because someone feels like I'm standing in their way of money and power. No, like some people have been to Bamalam, and
okay.
Raymond, that comes to the bottom of the apathy we're talking about. And you've just given an example of a guy who just chickened out from running in a local constituency, even when he has a name and face recognition and perhaps...
And we had fundraised money.
There are even spaces, I don't believe in witchcraft, but omusajja yakedde ku makya tatategeera. Kati abantu, like, it's scary. Like, I don't understand why we are so consumed by athlete things like that. I don't know what happened to the human. I don't know. For the few years that I've been in this industry, I have learned to understand one thing. The people that have been here the longest are the greediest people in this industry. And I'm going to put it out there. I know it's not going to make them happy, but these are the greediest people. Like before they even think about another person that doesn't have the same opportunity, they're going to first think about themselves with everything that they have accomplished. Which take it. So now, when you are operating in such an environment where the so-called legends would be the ones, positioning you into paths of opportunities, katboba soka kweteekayo. You've had someone say that you've had a few stories like, this muyimbi ono yaremesa olimba lwange okuba wano bikiwe biti. Now, that kind of greed, and these are some of the reasons as to why our industry is not providing opportunities to young talent that would have been even representing us on a much better, bigger level. Like Tawali, there's no, if you are a leader, for me, I expect you to be, first of all, exemplary, and also bakitabatya okwefiriza, like sacrifice. Like omuntu wanene tasobola sacrificing nga ye tasigenda soka kwetereza. That is why era bw'otuuzamu abingo byoyo n'omutwala ku ssente za federation ezo ojja kwesanga nti people that were even doing so much better be bafuna ku ssente ezo kusingira ddala ne bana abaana abato, and they have made establishments out of that money. Of course, this is a conversation they don't want to hear, but nze nja bibagamba era bajja kunyigira nja bakubira mbeetondere naye mbagambe nze nabagambye nja kugamba muganda wange nsonyiwa negeegane amazima okitegeera, because now by this time I would have expected to have like 10 Joshua Baracks, 15 Elijah Chitakas. Not everyone is going to be signed under a record label. You understand? Some people are going to rise up independently. Now, it is upon these superstars. Kubanga, they have lived long enough. They have created like I would call them social networks that have the power to change the life of just an artist like Cohen Jace. Akuba bukubi sebo nagamba Attorney General. Nze mbadde nsaba ofixinge yawo miliyoni 5 bono mwana tumukole kino nekino. And yes, they make these plans, nebagenda ne babawa sente, but you come back on the ground and you ask yourself, what has this money done? And there's nothing to show for it. So it is still very hard to, even if we are to make like an organization as young artists, ogenda kwesa mugenda bera mu omunene ogwo abaddewo akiyimiremu bw'ati ebintu byonna bigaane. Zemba manyi hey, if I was to name names, I would have caused but I don't want to do it. But let me tell you, the greed is what is standing in the way. Ezo sente ezo era mwami gobi zasigadde tageza naziwa abayimbi abanene
awulidde
banaye mwami gobi tozikwasa for at least make partnership, call like different corporations, ones that are proven, to invest in the creative industry. One, I would name Nile Breweries. Kubanga yetasobola kulya billions ttaano azikola okitegeera, but we've seen them invest in our music. By now, October 1st, today they create this one. Enkya waliyo Simanya Guinness Tribe. Enkya waliyo. Now, those are the kind of corporations you have to work with. Call Douglas Ranga Aina Skills Clinic. Yeah? Tell him, like, what do you need? How can we work together? What's in for government when we give you this funding? What is the data? How can we help? Call people like Swang's Avenue. Let me tell you, these are people that have proven themselves to invest in the industry. Why don't you work with them as the government? It doesn't even matter if they're competent enough, if they're proven any excellence.
Wow, what a powerful question to conclude with. Raymond, as we get down to the concluding part of it, I think it's also important to remind those of you listening to us in our live audience that this could only have been possible through the benevolence of friends like...
Of course, first, multi-choice with Showmax now. 11,400 on MTN Momo, and you're able to access all the entertainment products.
DVI, your number one audiovisual solutions for conferencing, events such as this and the rest, and of course, our hosts. Endiro Coffee.
Yes. So, Zawede, first of all, thank you so much. I think that it's not just that you're pushing the envelope. I think I've told you this time and time again that you've changed this industry, that many young artists just believe in themselves because of you and say, you know, I can make it like Zawed. I don't have to be the big names and everything. Yeah. But Bambi, Lost Files, Kati, when is the album?
I'm going to release another single that is Jela Rakuba Ntawanya. But I wanted it to be like a full body of work. This is a project of over like 12 songs. Yeah, I'm still in this industry. Like people who sometimes, of course, but it doesn't mean that you've retired. Like, yes, I have Lost Files. I think I'll give you like a, is it called, what should I call it? Like a concrete date on when to release, I think within start of July. Because yes, I want this to be, I want to come back and, you know, feed you guys, feed your ears. So I'm here. I'm going to be sharing the information on my social media platforms. So just keep your eyes locked on.
And so not to be like the people you just described on your program, especially in your industry, where you find the old do not collaboratively work with the young to raise their profile and also learn some new ways of doing things in the modern era. At the risk of sounding vain, I will say on Grab a Coffee, it's a total difference from what you just mentioned. That I, who is seated right here, I was telling Raymond yesterday that when I had my first daughter, I was already working in the media industry and possibly over 7, close to 10 years old, and he was in primary school before his PLE. But today we collaboratively are working together so that, and you can see from the difference in how we are handling our matters. I have a notebook in my hands with a pen, and Raymond is using a tab, and so it clearly shows you that it's the combination of these age differences that we may want to push across so that we supply our listeners more value and raise each other. He makes me feel younger, I make him feel older, and the balance of which is like what the statisticians were telling us, that if your head is in an oven and your feet are in a freezer, then averagely you are warm. That's it. I must also say thank you very much for taking time off your very busy schedule to be with us on Grab a Coffee.
Thank you.
And we'll be happy to have you again and again.
Of course.
And again.
Of course. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. Yeah, hopefully the conversation we've had today, you know, bears some fruitful results, some good results. Yes, I'm a very outspoken person. I'll say it to you as it is. You go into your feelings and then we come back, but I've said it. So I'm hoping for, as time goes on, I'm hoping for better leadership, more so from the creative industry. For me, you can never trust. The problem as to why most of the initiatives, even government is, trying to put in place to help the creative industry, they're not working because they're working with people that are full of ego, and nobody can deliver when they're full of ego. Tosobola tuuza waneno basitabo now nobagamba nti buli omu aliri awulize buli omu ayagala buli omu akole ki awulire kyakugamba. So I feel like if we sit down and look into the facts and realize that, you know what, we need a better approach on how to help Ugandans, how to help the creative industry, and you listen to people like us, abachirimu deep, the honorable here is present. Like if you listen to people like us, abachirimu dala who see nogamba omusajja yakubye zino sente azitumizaamu omwana akanyonyi bamutadde okitegeera gazandiyambye omuntu waleeri to better their lives, because when you're an artist, let me tell you, the good thing about being a superstar is when you win, your win is not just for you. It is for everybody that has put in effort for you to get up there. You understand? So it is not just your money. They should understand that when they help one talented young artist who's still on the ground, every team that has been working with him at that point, bagenda kuba bamwelevatinze. So I feel like rather than okuwuliriza abantu abakulu, it is time they listen to the young people, because now you are trying to listen to people who are not even going to be part of the future. You understand? Listen to people that are going to be in the future. Trust the people who are going to be part of the future with every infrastructure, resources they require to make sure that they build themselves a sustainable lifestyle. Thank you.
Grab a coffee with Simon and Raymond. It's been a pleasure having you, listening to us from wherever it is that you catch your podcast. And yes, what a session, what deliberations, but most importantly, what a live audience. Thank you.